The number one mistake that I see course creators make is that they focus on the product or the course or the program way too much right in the beginning of their business. Even veteran and seasoned entrepreneurs still sometimes make this mistake where anytime they create a new product, they focus so much on creating the product that they totally forget to validate the idea, figure out the marketing angles, build an audience around it, or ask if this is actually things that people even want in the first place. You have to remember, people are not buying your courses because they want a course. They're buying your courses because they want to solve a problem. So when you combine that with a really good offer, really good marketing, really good messaging and angles, that's when things start to blow up. So I invited a guest on today who did $116,000 in literally, no joke, 30 seconds with a brand new offer that was never created. This is the process that we've used to start and scale multiple courses that we have created and coaching programs to the seven figures in the first 12 months. I invite a special guest on today to talk about this process. So if that's interesting to you, well, keep on listening.
Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we have a really, really powerful episode. We have an episode that's going to dive into how to get started with brand new products or programs, or if you're brand new in this space, in the course creator space, what you need to do. And we're going to be talking about it with real live examples, but we're also going to be doing it with a very special guest, one of my mentors earlier on in my journey, who continues to still be my mentor and was a business partner at one point in my career. And my best friend, my business bestie, Mr. James Wedmore, the most important one.
We'll put that at the end. Jeez.
Business, save the best for last, dude. Business bestie. James, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for bringing me back on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to have you. I'm pretty sure everyone who listens to the podcast knows who you are, because I think you're the most returning guest back on the podcast. But for those people that may be new, do you mind just giving a quick little brief idea about what it is that you do?
Yeah. I mean, 18 years ago, I started selling digital products on the internet. And I started in many different niches, built a $2 million a year business doing that, and was like mostly autopilot, and worked just a couple hours a day. So about 9 years ago, I shifted directions to teach other people how to do that. That's what we've been doing. We launched my signature program in about 2016, middle of 2016, called Business by Design. And that's what I'm most passionate about today. And it's not just like, create and sell digital product. It's really about the business and the strategy and the structure behind it, so that it's an actual business, and that's what we've been doing ever since. So I'm having a blast doing it.
Okay. I love it. And yeah, I know you started off selling, obviously I know the story, but you started off selling a bartending course, but it was like CD-ROMs and books or DVDs or something back then.
Yeah.
Right? Like physical.
I would go to my mom's office after hours and print out these like 222 page books and like spiral bind them. And then I had, it wasn't an online course. Like back then, I'm going to sound such like an old timer, but to put videos online and like gate it behind a member's like username and password was no easy feat. So my first version of it was all on CD-ROM and DVD, and they would get it in the mail. And it was an online bartending course, and I charged $200 plus like $18.99 shipping and handling.
I mean, you were selling digital courses before they were digital.
It's true, man.
You're selling courses.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. And then I know you transitioned to like selling actual courses. Like you had a YouTube ranking course. You and I sold a local video course for a while, like teaching, local video. And then you eventually got to where you are today with Business by Design, which is more about how to build the actual business. And I think that's one of the things that I've appreciated the most from you, is like, you obviously know the sales and the marketing, very good at it, very strategic with it, very creative with it. But I think the thing that most people don't realize needs to happen at some point is that systems and process need to come into it. and structure so that you can actually like take time off. So that, and you got to do it in a way where the business continues to grow. And even like the stuff that you're good at, like the sales and the marketing, also needs a streamlined system and process. And then even the way that you start the business should follow a process so you don't run into problems down the road. And I think I want to start our discussion off there, like in the beginning, because I don't think people think about a system or a process or what do I do in the beginning. And they just like put out content, or they spend 6 months creating a course only to find out it's not going to sell. So I know earlier this year you launched a new product and it sold out. And what did you say? 26 seconds or 27 minutes?
Less than 30 seconds. That's all we know.
Okay. Can we what did you do? How did you do that?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So, and I'll give the summarized version. If people want to go deeper, I don't know if you knew this, Brandon. I did like an audio diary and documented it on my podcast every week as I was doing it. So I was like putting out episodes going like, I don't know if this is going to freaking work, but let's find out. So the end result was that we sold basically a $997 beta version is what we call it. First iteration of a course, a new program. And we actually limited it to 50 spots. And when my team member, Katrina, sent the email, she pressed send and she goes, okay, it's sent. She logged into Kajabi and it was already at 116 people and had to close it down in that 30 seconds it took for her to go from active campaign to Kajabi. We actually more than doubled, sold it out. So it was less than a minute. It's pretty crazy. So there's a process we did to do that. And I'll share, I can share the whole process. I got emails and all that type of stuff, but I'm someone who loves to practice what they preach. And if we go back to the bartend for profit product that Brandon mentioned that I started with, I actually made a big mistake there that cost me about 2 years of business growth, which is why I speak about this so much today. And what it is I started with, I have an idea. I want to teach this. And I said, I want to teach people how to bartend. It really was because it was the only thing I knew how to do at the time. Like, let's be honest. I didn't know anything else. So I was like, what can I actually teach? And I was a bartender. That's how I was like paying my bills in college. So I created the product. It took me 3.5 months to create it. So 3 months. And this is when people ask me, like, they've heard my story. I got addicted to Adderall, 20 milligrams a day, which is, I'm sorry, that's like a legal form of speed. So I was just like addicted to work. I'd get up and like sit in front of the chair, pop the 20 mil and just work all day, all night until 2 a.m. I dropped down to 145 pounds because it, you know, you don't have an appetite anymore. So I just look like a skeleton. And 3 months later, with like nothing left in the tank, I was already like burnt out and exhausted. I'm like, I have it. I did it. I created the product. But that was just for the product. That's just the product. Okay. Then I go, now what? And I learned the next valuable lesson, which we can remember from Brandon's favorite film, Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner. Classic film. Grew up on this movie. And he goes out and he's like he's in the farm and he hears the voice saying, if you build it, they will come. So that advice is wrong because I built it and they did not come. And I had nothing. I'm just sitting here with a product. Like, it was embarrassing. Like, okay, I'm ready. I didn't have a sales page. I didn't have a list. Social media didn't exist back then, so I didn't have that either.
So you just had a basement full of books and DVDs.
I had a basement full of books. Like, okay, I did it. I built the business. And so then what happened is I turned a corner and I spent the next 3 months obsessively learning this thing called marketing. What is that? Sales and marketing. And that took 3 months before I finally got one sale. Yes, holy freaking hallelujah. However, here's the rub. That sounds great. That was April 18, 2008. I made my very first sale on the internet, changed my life. However, I spent about the next, I would say, year and a half, 18 months, trying to make more sales. And Brandon, it was a complete uphill battle. Like, it was so hard, so challenging. Not the things I was doing. I was doing all the things. I was on YouTube. I was doing article marketing back then. I was SEO'd. Like, we were doing, did it all.
That was all the rage back then. Article marketing. I remember that.
E-zine articles. So backlinks. I was doing blog posts. I was doing all of it. And the numbers I didn't want to look at. But finally, I looked at the numbers, and the numbers were telling me that they don't want this. People don't want this. They don't want to, they're not interested. So bottom line, it took me 2 years to realize I had a bad offer. And what I tell my students today is if it's taking you more than 90 days to figure out if you have a home run offer, you've already wasted so much time. In fact, we tell our students today, you can really figure out if you got something in 30 days or less. And so the entire philosophy is, and this is actually more important than we're actually giving credence to, because the stats will tell us 8 out of 10 businesses fail in the first 18 months. And when they do the deep dive into that research as to why so many businesses fail or go bankrupt or quit before they even begin, it's really simple. They didn't see profit or sales. So when people start a business, they have a lot of passion. And you remember that? Remember when you were like, anyone listening, like you remember you're like, I'm going to start a business. And like that first week you were so excited and you dove in. And what I like to tell our students is that passion is a flame that needs to be fueled. And if you don't fuel it, it wanes until it's gone. And that's where people start to hit burnout. Burnout doesn't come from working too much. Burnout comes from working too much on the wrong things. That's basically killing your soul with little to show for it. And so the flame of passion that will keep you going, which is why I can do this for 18 years, and Brandon, you've been doing this a long time too, is progress. If you see progress or any type of evidence that you're moving in the right direction, it fans the flames. It's the rocket fuel. It's the gasoline on that flame of passion. And so the real thing we start with is if you want to actually survive and then thrive, you have to find evidence in your life of progress in 90 days or less. And 90 days is stretching it. Like it really should be 30 to 60 days. And if you're a new business and you're starting tomorrow, what that means is you're doing what we call the beta launch in 60 days or less, quite frankly. 60 days or less. This is what most of our students are doing. I'm going to give examples of this. Though? What's that?
Why 90?
Great question. So we operate starting about 2017. We changed the methodology and how we run the company. I talk a lot about this in the Rise of the Digital CEO about the 90-day framework. And the year is broken up into 4 quarters. And in 90-day increments, I firmly believe 90 days is a perfect amount of container where it's enough space, time, and energy to create a new project, something big and awesome, but it's not too far out that if it didn't go as according to plan or do as well as you wanted to, like your whole year is screwed. So it's like the perfect size container for anything to happen. So I tell my students a couple of things. The first I say is you can make anything happen in 90 days. Really, you can launch a new company in 90 days and make sales. You can launch you can run an entire product launch in 90 days. So it's enough time to do something. And we demonstrate that. So in order to have it to run by these 90-day frameworks, which I couldn't stress enough, you want to have 3 things in place. Every 90 days, you have an outcome goal. What's the revenue? How much are we doing? So what happens is people don't even have that and they wake up now. Here we are 6 months into 2025, dude. It's halfway through the year and people wake up and they're like, I'm nowhere near my goals. How did I get here? I'm not even anywhere close. So the 90-day is the tracker for that. What is my 90-day revenue outcome? Okay, I've said this a lot. You know this. If you are not, the person listening, if you are the business owner, taking the radical responsibility, 100% responsibility for the financial outcome of your business, you are, you owe it to your business to have a financial, responsibility. And if you're not doing that, you're being irresponsible in your business. So every 90 days, I have a revenue goal. In order to make money, this is kind of mind blowing for newer students. You have to have something to sell. That's a crazy concept, I know. But it's really, yeah.
But it doesn't need to be made, right?
Correct. And we're going to get that. The whole concept here is, what if I told you can sell something before making it? Oh, I'm not there yet, James, because I got to spend 6 months making it. What if you made the wrong thing? What if you made something that no one wants? You must validate the market first, right? So the thing is it sounds like I'm saying it in jest when I say, in order to make money, you have to have something for sale. But you would be surprised how many people don't connect that dots, because their whole life, how did they make money? Working. And so they think if I just work more, then I'll make more. Not in this game. It's actually the opposite. And I can make a very strong argument for the less that you do, the more you will make in your business. Working is actually like the death of profitability, because every time you have your head down, you're doing low value activities that are below your pay grade. That's another conversation. But so we need to have the outcome, the offer, and then you need to have a plan, a sales plan or a sales strategy or promotional plan. So if this is your first, like, let's say you started business today and you come to Brandon and you're like, I just started my online business, my digital product business. I'd say, okay, for Q3, your goal is to launch the beta, which is the first iteration of this program. So we need to have a goal. How many people are we having? How many founding members? You say 10, 20, whatever. I like a small number if you're small, because it's not about making money here. That's what people don't get. In the beta launch, it's about testing. Do I have something that will make money? So we have to test it. 10 people, 20 people, whatever that number. I've had one of our, you know them actually, Stephen and Giselle, they did their first beta launch, except they already had 1 million people in their audience. So their founding member launch was 300 people, and they did like $300,000 on their beta launch. Unless you have 1 million person following audience, you probably don't want to make your beta like 300 people as your max. You know what I mean? So you want to create that urgency. And then we put it out there, and the trick is you deliver it live, right? So if no one buys the beta, then you just prove to yourself and the world that this is not the right offer, and you test again and again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense. And then it could be, the wrong offer or the messaging around it or something.
Yes.
Like there was something off.
You didn't pitch it right. Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's great because I do see it all the time. And I love the 90-day part of it, because it's like 90 days, if you have this reevaluation period of what you've been doing, where, I mean, you and I have both seen it, where people will literally spend 6 months, sometimes even a year, just creating a course. And I know that mistake because I did the same thing. I remember writing out a whole notebook outlining a course. It took me a month to outline the course. I didn't even make the course. It took me a month to outline the course. And then I never sold it. It's still sitting in a notebook somewhere. But
which is better than just an outline is the lesser of two evils. And imagine if you would have created all those videos.
No,
yeah.
But I think the 90-day thing is great because it gives you that evaluation period of like, what have I been doing? I didn't hit any of my goals or revenue, because anyone who's starting an online business should be able to at least made an effort to make a sale within 90 days.
Oh, 1,000%. Here's something I don't think people understand about this business. If you're in this space, and I think it's worth writing down, the only way that this business will work for people. And again, you and I have both worked with so many clients in every different niche imaginable, at every different level imaginable, like people that are even making more money than us, that have hired us or asked us for advice over the years. This is a project-based business. So the lie that I think people believe is that the work is you just create a course, and if it just sits on your website, you're just making sales every day. If you build it, they will come. And no, this is a project-based business. So every 90 days, you are doing something in order to promote, to launch, to create an automated funnel, do sales calls, do webinars, run a challenge promotion, even a little email campaign. It doesn't matter, but there's a lot of people that come to me and they're like, well, I've done the product. I have a great product and I did a beta and I'm not making any sales. Like, well, what'd you do last quarter? Like, what do you mean what I do? Well, what was like your sales plan? Like, what was your promotional project? And they're like, I didn't do one. Like, that's why you're not making sales. So the word offer is a really powerful word to me. And I think this is where it all starts. And really, this should be the biggest takeaway of this entire conversation is your entire business is made or destroyed by that one concept right there, which is an offer. You can't show me one person in this industry that has a successful business, but has a bad offer. Because it's the offer that made them successful. People saw their offer and said, I got to have that. No one sees a bad offer and says, this is garbage. I don't want this, but I might as well give you my money, take it, right? So we give money to something we say, I can't now live without that. I think a great offer and great messaging, I'm sure you say this in your way or not, is to take a want and turn it into a need. So yeah, I want that. And now it's like, now I can't live without it. Now you've got something irresistible. And it all starts with the offer. So Brandon, why this conversation is so freaking important is I have clients that come to me and they're trying messaging, they're trying ads, they're trying social, they're trying this and that and and it's not working. And I say, well, What did you do in your beta launch? They go, I didn't do a beta launch. Oh, so you just decided I'm going to create something. You put it out there and you've spent 18 months? 18 months trying to sell something and you don't even know if it's what people want? Have you ever considered that no amount of marketing or ad spend is ever going to fix a bad offer? And they've made their lives or their business careers so much harder. And then they internalize it and they say, maybe it's me. No one likes me. I'm a loser. I suck. I'm not cut out for this. And this is where a lot of people quit and give up. And so the metaphor I give here is if Brandon, let's say I bring you onto my game show and I'm a game show host. I got one of those little skinny microphones and I'm like, come on down, Brandon. And I go, here's the name of the game. It's choose the door. And in front of you on the stage are 10 doors. And behind one of those doors is $1 million. And I go, okay, Brandon, which door is the money behind? You'd be a little nervous, right? You'd be like, ooh, I don't know. Okay, let me use my intuition here. Get a little intuit tug in your belly to tell you which door, right? But then I say, okay, now Brandon, before you go picking the door, I want to let you know there are 10 doors up there and you have 10 tries. Now what do you do? Where's the pressure? Where's the stress? Where's the fear? Just go in order until you find the damn money. And that's how we have to look at unlocking our irresistible offer. If you're looking at it as like, I got one shot, one opportunity. What do you, M&M here? You can go through as many failed beta launches as it takes to get, you like my M&M reference? Thank you.
Okay. So
Mom spaghetti.
was the M&M reference, was that on the fly or is that like, you have this speech in your head and you're like, I'm going to throw M&M in your head.
That's in my head. Sometimes I pay attention to what I say. And I was listening. I was like, that sounds like the beginning of the 8 Mile
that was
soundtrack.
Good. That was really good. I was just letting you go right now. And I just had to interrupt because I'm like, how did he just like throw an M&M rap and then be like, it just,
you got one shot, one opportunity.
Yeah. I like it.
Oh geez. But you know what I'm saying is like if someone told you you have to go through 4 failed beta launches to figure out what your people actually want, and then you're going to blow up, wouldn't you do that? Because I did that for 4.5 years. After the bartending product tanked, I tried again and again. And I think we tallied it up. I tried to remember as best I can. And I think the number was 7. And then number 8 was a little product called Video Traffic Academy. And I launched Video Traffic Academy with a friend in September of 2011, $97, $400,000 in sales in 30 days from that training. So like, I'm willing to be the scientist and be stubborn and keep making tests until we do it. So that's why this is so important. So if you skip this step and you're trying to sell something that you haven't proven, it's going to be a hard journey. And if you're forcing I see a lot of people try to force it and be like, oh, I only had one person sign up, but this is it. This is the one. This is the one. I'm like, is it? Because people don't lie with their credit card. You know what I mean?
But I also want to say too, it's like, if you create a product and you go and you sell it or try to sell it and it doesn't sell, it doesn't necessarily mean the product itself is not great. Like, it doesn't mean you need to change all the modules around and this around. It just means the way you presented it, the way you tried to sell, the way you pitched it. That's what the offer essentially is. It's a little bit off.
Here's a perfect example of that. This is so important. This is called the V-Bar. And this is a product, I think, from the 1980s. You've heard me talk about this. And this is a failed weight loss fitness product. No one's ever heard of it, the V-Bar. As the story goes, some marketing exec, infomercial exec found this product and rebranded it. So they did 3 things to rebrand it. Okay. This is so valuable for us. First of all, they changed the look and feel of it. It used to be pink and it was like just these 2 bars. And instead they made it blue with a red ball. Okay. And then before it was a full body where you could use it for your arms, your back, your legs. And now they niched down. Isn't that funny? They specialized and they called it the Thigh Master. Then they put a personal brand in front of it, Suzanne Summers. And this broke records and became one of the best-selling infomercial products of all time. I have the V-Bar. A friend sent me the V-Bar. I have the original V-Bar. It's the same product, but it's positioned differently. It's communicated differently. And that's exactly what you're saying is either the content inside is not what people want, or the way that it was positioned is incorrect. Let me give you an example. This is a good friend of both of ours, Brad Bizjack. Brad Bizjack was selling a product based on all of his knowledge and expertise, and it was doing okay. But the name, I hope he's okay with me saying this, the name of the product was called Appreciation Academy. And, he was doing personal growth and mindset and really helping people. But I told him, I was like, dude, people don't want to learn appreciation. Like if I just told you right now, Brandon, let's spend a few minutes in gratitude today and just be really grateful. Like you wouldn't go, well, I don't know how to do that, James. I need a course to teach me how to do that.
Yeah, you got to look at like what is the lack of gratitude creating your life that you don't want to be there anymore, and that's the selling point. The problem.
Well, what I did is I said, why don't you just talk to me about what you do inside the program?
Yeah,
I'm like, are you teaching people how to be grateful? And he's like, well, not really, blah, blah, blah. And he's talking, and I'm just listening to what he said. And then in the middle of it, he's like, and we really are rewiring people's brains for more abundance and success and whatnot. And I go, call it rewired. Why don't you go that direction? And he did. And it's been wildly successful. Same product, but he positioned it differently. You're so right. It's not just the content, but it's the packaging itself, and all of that matters.
So how do we go about doing it? How do we go about? Because I know we talked like you did $116,000 in 30 seconds, which sounds insane, and it is.
Oh, yeah.
Like what?
No, it's even more insane than I've shared. So it happened so fast that we didn't have time to like build a redirect or like it's now closed. So I told my team, I said, just change the title to sold out and like put the price up to like $20,000 just because that'll have people stop. No, Brandon, it didn't. 4 people still bought it at $20,000.
What? Are you kidding me?
And I had to give them, just for record, we gave them all their money back. I was like, no, that was a way to get you to stop and say it's closed.
Oh my God.
Because it happened in 30 seconds.
Jesus. Dude.
Okay.
That's insane. So, okay, here's the other thing too, is like,
yeah.
When things like this happen, it's a clear sign from the universe. You're heading into the right direction. The passion, like you talked about the passion and the purpose and all of that stuff too. That's insane. But like for those of us that not us, but like the listeners that are like, I just want to sale at $500. I need to validate this thing. Are you following the same process for that they would be following as well?
Yes and no. And I'll explain all of it. There's 2 pieces of the game. So one piece, yes, and we're going to talk about that first. The other piece, no, because I have an existing audience. So it's just dumb thinking if this is you. Well, that's easy for you, James, because you're James. It's like, I was you once too, silly Billy. I just kept going. So we all start at 0. I hate that mentality because it's like human psychology and human behavior is human behavior. So I can make mistakes and sell things no matter who I am and people won't buy it as well. So it's irrelevant, but let me explain all of it. First we have to talk about the offer, and there's a couple of ingredients that you cannot skip. And I'm going to talk about them right now. Okay. So first we have to, for the beta launch, you have to acknowledge, and this is the hardest part, that you don't know what this is yet. And you have to be okay with it. You're like, I get the general idea of what this could become, but I'm doing the beta launch because it's going to give me more clarity than I have now. That's the trick. Okay. So we start with the offer. So first we have to say, who is it for? Okay. And what am I going to teach? And what's that going to do for them? Okay. And I'll give you mine example in a second. So I'll do it right now. I said, so what I did is I said, this is, and then we talk about how I marketed it. Okay. So this is for anyone who wants to be a coach or a teacher with digital products. That's who it's for. So it's my audience. So I already have that audience. I get that. Now, what am I teaching? I'm teaching tools, techniques on how to be a better coach. That's a big passion of mine. It's how to be a great coach. And what does that give them? It's gonna make them a better coach, which gets them more students, and better results from their students. That's it. That's all it is. I'm not even promising it's gonna make you more money. Like I'm with this product, I don't care about that. And it's, if you want to be better at what you do, at your craft, at your teaching, your coaching, this is it. Okay. So that's the offer, or the promise of the offer. And then here's what you're going to do. You're going to project the future price. So this is going to be a high ticket training. Like we're talking in the 3 to 6K range, because it's going to be like a certification and there's a live component to it. So 3 to 6K is the price. For your beta launch, you want to do 2 things. Number 1, you want to do a fraction of the price. Okay. At least half, at least a 50% discount. Okay. Now this is a fun thing. This is not about money for me. This is not about, I made money or whatever. This is about getting it out there and validating it. So I said, what's the price? This is no joke how I asked this question. I said, what's the price I can position this out so that it will sell out the same day I put out the offer? That's all I went through. And I said, $1,000. Now I did something else really cool, Brandon. So you're following me, right? It's like, this is a $3,000 to $6,000 offer depending on what they get and stuff.
Here's a question for you though. What was the future training price that you put out there for this one?
3,000 to 6,000. That's
6,000?
3 to 6.
And
I told them in the email, I said, this is going to go between 3,000 to 6,000 when it's all said and done, depending on what type of like support, delivery, and certification comes with it.
Here's where I'm going with this is you said, I'm going to sell it for 6K. And then they get to a page that says it's 20K and they still paid it.
I know. I know. Now, I don't know if that was someone just not seen it.
Right.
Or if they're screw it, I still want it. You know what I mean? Right. I don't know. Because it also said sold out. Yeah.
Okay. So we got the future price of the price, the fraction of the price that would sell out in the same day.
Now I did something cool I've never done before. So I want to share this because Brandon, this is something you might like as well. I said, so here's the price. It's going to be $997. I said, however, what I'm really looking to get is a great transformational testimonials from this. So if you agree to participate in an intake and outtake form at the beginning and end of this entire training, and I have full rights and permission to use you as a case study and testimonial for the further marketing of this program, I'll give you an additional $300 off.
Whoa, that's cool.
I know. So it takes that down to $697. All but 4 people out of the 116 people took the $697. So it's just like, I wasn't trying to make money. I was trying to get the right people in. And I actually knew, I knew that the people who are the right fit are the ones who are going to set the alarm, be there right at 9 a.m. when that email comes in, and they're going to take action and just join. So it's, for me, the intention here is to say, I want to attract the right people and I want to test that this is really a great offer. However, there's previous tests that we're going to get into that already prove that this wasn't a great offer. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Now, so that's it. That's the offer. So there's, sorry. Limited seats, 50 seats. Now, again, I limited to 50. I said 50. And by the time we went to the page to turn it off, we'd already gotten 116. And that's where we turned it off. I'm not going to refund those people. It has no bearing. They don't lose value because more people are in, but I'm not letting anyone else in during this round. So, hey, more people got in. It is what it is, but I'm not, they paid in that first minute. I'm not about to say, sorry, sucker, you're gone, So you limit the seats. So that's the offer. Now, obviously I'm delivering this live, and I also do have pre-recorded material that's coming out every week as well. So that's the offer. Now, so when you ask your question, since you're James, are you doing it the same as everybody else? That way, right? That first piece, I said, that's exactly how I want everyone positioning their beta launch offer. Yes. Figure out what the future price is, make it a no-brainer, even make it more no-brainer from there, and limit the seats and then deliver it live. That's the offer piece. That's what I did. Now, what I teach our students do is that's part 2, which is craft a great offer. Part 1 is build the interest. And depending on where you are in your business career, how you build interest matters. What I teach our students is say for 30 to 60 days, create content wherever your audience is, podcasts, Instagram, run ads about the topic, about the pillars of the topic with call to actions to get on a wait list. And I say, build that wait list to a minimum of 50 before you go into phase 2, which is to pitch this offer. I didn't have to do that. Here's what I did. I wrote one email to our existing Business by Design students. And in the email, I talked about a perspective of mine that I stand by, wholeheartedly saying that in all my years of doing everything I've done, there's one skill that I hold above all as the most valuable skill that's helped me in my business. And that is the skill of great coaching. And I say, first of all, I've been a great coachable student. So that allows me to be a great coach to my clients, to my students, even to my team and to myself. And nothing has allowed me to grow more than being a great coach. And I said, there's an art to this and there's a science. And we're thinking about putting together a training and put this all in one place to teach you how to be a great coach. If you are interested in joining this program as a founding member, click this link. So we had over 600 people get on that interest list in like a 2-week period with one email. So that was what told me we're on to something. If I wouldn't have had that many, if it would have been much less, 50 people, I would have been like, So I had 600 people. And then this is all I did. This is embarrassingly simple. I sent another, and I can open up these if you'd like, Brandon. It's wherever you want to go with this. But I sent an email to those people and I said, you're on the wait list for this. So here's how this is going to go. On May 15th at 9 a.m., I'm going to send out an email with a link to a checkout page. And when we get our 50, we shut it down. Obviously, it happened faster than that. And I said, so let me explain what this offer is. And I just explained what I already shared with you in an email. And I said, so if this is something you still want, mark your calendar, set an alarm, because that email, my team is going to manually send that out right at 9 a.m. So when it hits your inbox, there's a link. And as long as I haven't hit my 50, then that link's going to be live. That's all we did. And then I sent it. Oh yeah, I did send a reminder saying like, we're still on for Thursday. Just reminding you it's happening in 2 days.
Well, I think what's great about it is you're using a lot of the elements you need for sales anyways, outside of beta, which is sort of like creating demand before the offer comes out, like hitting a main pain point or a very specific benefit they're going to get. Giving them, there's like urgency and scarcity because it's a price and there's a limit on it. So you're doing all the things that you would need to do for sales anyways. You're just doing them sort of in a different format because this is a pre-launch. As you go in, you're just moving things around and doing them a little bit differently, but it is still really the same elements that need to come together for a great offer to be presented anyways.
And that's 1,000% right. It's the exact same ingredients that you're tapping into, but there's something about the beta launch where it's like playing with a handicap. Like it gives you a leg up on everything because you have all of these offer ingredients working in your favor. It's new, so it's exciting. It's live, so there's higher value. It's limited, so there's scarcity and urgency. There's intimacy about it. There's identity that we tap into. People just wanted to be the founding members. They're like, I want to be a part of this from the ground up. And if this is what I'm getting at, this is what it's all for, is this one sentence here. So if you're employing all these powerful ingredients to make the offer irresistible and it doesn't sell out, what else do you need to say that this is not the right offer? And it's time to try again. So in other words, if I would have done that and I got 50 people and then I opened it up and I got like 4 or 5, I would have had to sit there and had a real honest conversation with myself to say, this is not the right direction to go into. I got to can it now and I'll give them their money back and move on. And that's wonderful, because the worst thing we want to do is create something that no one wants and then spend 2 years of our life painstakingly trying to convince people to buy something they'll never buy, and then say, business is too tough, this doesn't work, I give up. And that's what a lot of people are doing, man. And then they just say, this doesn't work. And it's like, the market has always worked. In a capitalistic society, the market will always tell you what they want with their credit card. So it's not working because the market doesn't want it, or you didn't communicate in a way that people said, I want this. They're not saying, this is exactly what I need and I want this. This is perfect, but I'm not going to pay you for it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And we actually did this earlier in the year too with our new program, Built to Convert. But I'm like looking through how you did it, and I'm like, shoot, I think we missed a couple things that you guys did. I love the idea of having limited spots. We just let anyone kind of move into it. But we only went to our students because it was a new program, and there's our current students. But if you guys want into this, we're going to give you a discount. So I didn't want to limit it really because I wanted everyone to have the opportunity to get into it. But I absolutely loved the discount if they allow you to do the before and after transformational testimonial side of it. I think that was genius. But what's really great about this is like when you obviously did it, you're bringing in revenue. Anyone else that does it brings in revenue. But for us, like we actually did it. What we did is we did the beta, and then what we did is we actually used a lot of the sales because we did over 100 grand or right around 100 grand. And we used that for ad spend to do an actual like launch. So then we built it, and then we're like, well, let's just use the money for that for ad spend. So we didn't have to really pay for ads for our launch coming up, which is great. So you guys, like if you're coming up with a brand new product or you're selling your first product, you can use those funds for moving the company even faster. You can now use that money for like ad spend or for do it again. And there's a lot of stuff you can do with it.
Where you can't, if you're spending 6 months just trying to build something and you haven't built the audience, you haven't gotten buyers yet. Now, here's the last piece I want to throw in here, which I think is really important that people aren't thinking about. The amount of times that people do the beta and then by the end of running it or even halfway through, they go, oh, and I'm sure this was not you because you're more seasoned, but their first beta, they're like, oh, this is becoming something different. This is not what I thought it was going to be. You're co-creating an experience with your students and it will evolve and change. My sister is a great example of this. You know that Jill is a BBD member. So she did her beta launch for her program, which is a spiritual course, helping you become more spiritual. It's called Raise Your Vibration. And she realized halfway through the beta, there was only 2 things that people were really coming for. And there was like 6 topics that she's like, they're not interested in those. So I'm going to change the focus and the promise. And now she's just turned it into a standalone course. And it's totally different 18 months later than how she started it. And that's what I'm talking about is you get on live with your people and they're going to tell you what they want more of and what was worth it to them. And that's how we need to approach it. Because that's the best marketing. Like everyone wants to go look for all great marketing. It's like the best marketing is correlated to your knowledge and intimate insight into your audience, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they want truly, and then speaking to that. That will never go away. Like the more you know what they want and can communicate it in a way even better than they are saying it to themselves, that's the best type of marketing. So I think what people like Brandon and I have as an advantage today is we're always working with clients, whether it's one-on-one or group or teaching a live course. In our conversations every day, my students are telling me what's coming up for them, and that's your marketing material,
But also but what I find is when you work with students and you are working and teaching, there's moments when you're like in the middle of teaching, and then an idea will come, or you're going to teach it a little bit differently, and you become a better teacher in that. Where I think if you just create the course and you're like, cool, I'm done for 2 years now, you actually miss the opportunity of creating the best program you can, because there's magic in those moments where you're like, oh, I should have taught it this way, or I thought this was the way to teach it, but no one's getting it this way. So now I'm going to have to teach it a different way. And then now your product is going to be even better. You just get these gold nugget downloads like your M&M thing earlier today that just come up in the moment when you're just like in it.
No, but you're spot on, man. Is to be a great coach or teacher is actually saying it's not about me being a great coach or teacher. It's saying something's going to get created between me and the student or me and the client. And I'm just there to facilitate that. And it's us working together that will create something. And that's it. So then the question becomes, how can you create that magic when it's just you alone in a silo of your office, head down, just creating stuff by yourself? You can't. You have to be able to come out of your science lab, out of your cave, and say, here's the first draft of this. This is the way I think I want to teach it. What do you guys think? I don't get it. What? Or, oh my gosh, it's mind blowing. And of course, why don't people want to do that? I'm too afraid of what they think of me. I'm scared they won't like it. Why? Who cares? Like for me, I have stuff all the time that doesn't land with students. And I'll say it. I'll be like, okay, guys, this is the first time I'm teaching this, so let me know your thoughts. And they're like, I'm confused. I have a question. Okay, cool. Let me work that out.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah,
it.
and you won't know that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I don't need to take it personally.
Here's something that I know is going to come up is like, I understand the process. I understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, the benefits of it. But the whole way to start it, if we look back at the process you laid out, is let's build a wait list. And you were able to do that because you have a pre-existing audience. But if someone's literally like from zero, how do they even go about creating that wait list or getting people to like opt in for a beta web launch or whatever it may be?
There's a lot of ways. So I'm going to give what I think will be a catch-all for most people listening, but we want to remember that the only way you're getting an audience is one of two ways. And I don't live in an either or world. I'm an A and B kind of guy. Brandon will tell you. And that's content and ads. Okay. So the first answer is you're either running ads or you're creating content. One takes money. People are afraid to spend money and they're afraid of ads. That's really sad because then you're saying, but I have no problem spending my time. So time is always worth your time, is your life, is always more valuable than money. And if you live a life where you think otherwise, that's really sad. So, because you can always make more money and get your money back, but you never get your time back. But you always have to give something to get. So you have to give something to get an audience. No one inherited an audience. I didn't inherit my parents' internet business from them, right? So everyone starts at zero, and you don't get an audience until you either give money or time or both. So the time or content path, I think most audiences can be found on Instagram today. And what I like about what TikTok and inspired Instagram has done is, in the olden days, it was basically like mentor leadership based, which is like the people with the biggest audiences are the ones that everyone knows, that are the popularist, and the celebrities and the experts and stuff like that. Now, today, anybody can get a video in front of anybody if it's a great piece of content. So this is what baffles my mind, is that people still have this, but what if I'm new? What if I'm new? I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? There are people that their first or second video hits and they're reaching thousands and thousands of people. And Instagram isn't necessarily saying, or TikTok isn't necessarily saying, you need to establish yourself as a 5-year expert before we put your video in front of people. They're not. So the long drawn TLDR answer is start putting reels and content out on these social platforms like Instagram and TikTok as quickly, as efficiently, and as consistently as possible as it pertains to your stuff. And I'm seeing people that are 1 to 2 years in this business blowing up doing that. They're becoming experts because they're providing value. They're putting stuff out there. And they're like, by the way, let me know if you're interested in more. Let me know if you really want to learn this. I'm thinking about putting together a virtual training on this. Just send me a DM, comment this, and I'll send you a link and on the wait list. You got to do that. And the problem is, why won't most people do that? They go, well, I'm waiting for permission. Right. So once I have an audience, then I can do that, but I can't put content out because I don't have an audience. So they're just this reverse circular logic that just is the snake eating its own tail, staying stuck. It's like, but if you started today and say, what's something that could help somebody? And then tomorrow, what's another tip? Like, I'm going to start an Airbnb beta launch. What's something I could do? Oh, here's the best tip I have for how to find great locations or great properties that are Airbnb worthy. Hey, here's a training video on a great negotiation tip or tactic for working with a real estate agent to buy an Airbnb. Here's what I look for in Airbnbs. Like, you have to do that. And then if you tell me, and this is going to really turn some people away, I don't like creating content. What are you doing in this business? You're in the wrong space. This is a content business.
I just did an episode on that, like a rant for 20 minutes. And I'm like, I have to convince sometimes students to post a video on the internet. And like, you realize you started an online business, like that
around your content.
Around content like that. You're refusing to do the one thing that you have to do inside of this business. Like,
yes.
The fuck we doing here? Like,
yeah. Oh, I mean, it's true though. Like, think about what you're doing. You want to sell content, right? Yes. So how do you get people to buy it? Well, the same way that, restaurants at the mall food court get you to buy it. You give a sample. So it's like saying, I'm going to start a restaurant, but I hate food. I hate cooking. I hate meals.
How do I start a restaurant without having to cook? It's like, you just don't.
Yeah. I mean, obviously if you partner with the chef, so you're going to have to partner with the content person then, and then you have to give away half your money. And I think that's the thing is like, I was, like on a Sunday walk yesterday before we recorded this and thinking about my life. And you and I are the same way, because I was thinking about you too and what we do and how our paths have been so similar in business and stuff. And I said, it's in my nature to teach. I love, if I learn something, I want to pass it to somebody. That's in my nature. And I think, yes, learn marketing, learn all these skills and learn these things that help you grow. But I think then, and it will turn somebody off because they're just gonna be like, yeah, that's not me. And that's totally fine. I don't care. It's about helping the people that are here to do this. It has to be in your nature. If you're the type of person that says like, I love to simplify a concept for somebody, I love to provide value, I love to coach, I love to help, then that's in your nature. That's who you are. And I want to just advocate that you should be doing a business that most aligns with your personality type. And, why? And this is your short, precious life. You better do it doing stuff you love and enjoy doing.
Yeah. And that's what I tell students all the time is well, I mean, to sort of recap where you started with this is like, it's going to come down to time or money if you're starting off. You're either going to pay with your time or you're going to pay with your money. And I think sometimes people also think like, if I have to do it with time, it's going to be really expensive, and it doesn't have to be. Or sorry, with money, it doesn't have to be, because we just created a low ticket offer, like a $17 offer. And I didn't know if it was going to sell. And I'm like, I'm not going to spend a day creating this program. And so I'm like, let's just create a sales page and some ads. And that's what we did. And it sold, like, we spent $150 a day, and we had some upsells, and we did like 6 sales at 17 our first day. So that's roughly $100 or whatever it is. So we lost $50. But then as the week went on, the upsell started to come in. So there was like a $500 upsell attached to it, then like a $97 upsell. And then by the end of the first week, we were breaking even. And so I was like, well, shit, now I got to go create the product. So I went and created the product, but we basically did exactly what you're talking about. And I did it in a day. Yes. I created the product, the $17 product in a day. And that's exactly what we did, is to validate the idea, validate the offer, validate the marketing, the messaging before I go spend all of this time putting this thing together. And I think putting together that little funnel probably took me like 20 to 40 hours, and half of it was because I took it on as a challenge to do it myself and not have my team do it. So half of it was figuring out how to navigate the software, because I just hadn't done that in so long. And so we did that same thing. But I think people think sometimes you even need to create the product. It's like, you don't just spend $50 running ads to something and then see if the thing sells or not. Like, sell it for $1 and see if it even works.
Exactly. Let me give you a great example of what you're saying. So, and we're going to use my sister, because it's really cool having, and Brandon knows my sister too, having someone who is a family member become a student of yours, and because you have a relationship outside of them being a client, you really know their business intimately. And she's always updating me. So basically, she did her beta launch and she made sales, and she just used Instagram. And so she kind of went onto this track of like, I'm just going to keep posting on Instagram. And a year of that, and her email list was still at, I want to say, just under 300 people. Okay. And I'm like, I say this over and over again to my students. I go, what is the number one lever to pull to build your business? And it's list growth. You grow your list, you're growing your business. I go, Jill, you're at the same place in leads, the same size email list, like a year and a half later. I said, please do ads. And she was nervous, like most people are. In August of last year, she built a little quiz funnel. She started getting leads for 80 cents. She does not have a lot of money. My sister is not a big business owner. She's really good at what she does and teaches, but she's still very small, and she's got 2 young kids, and she's a busy mom, right? So she's doing this on the side. She starts getting 80-cent leads. I just got a text from her last week. Her email list went from 300 to 3,800 since August. And she's totally profitable, and she's getting 88-cent leads to her quiz, and she's getting $2.50 leads to her webinar, and she's doing $4,000 to $5,000 every time she does her webinar. And that's it. That's it. So she spent, like, you got to look at it this way. It's like, okay, you're afraid to spend money, blah, 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 blah. You're not afraid to spend a year creating. She's like, I got so burnt out just creating reels every day that I thought were great. And then they just fall flat. No one clicked on them. They didn't do diddly. They definitely didn't build her list. Then I turn on an ad campaign and I'm getting 88-cent leads by the end of the day.
Yeah. It's just crazy. Yeah. You can find 88 cents in your couch. It's right.
Crazy. And so
when those people come onto your list also I think people get so caught up in what is that cost for that lead? Like, let's just call it $20 because sometimes that's what we have to pay, like $20 a lead.
Yes.
And they get so caught up on like, well, if I get 10 of them, that's $200. Like, yeah, that's expensive. Like $20 a lead is expensive.
That is a lot. Yeah.
Right.
It's not cheap.
But the thing is like now that they're on your list, you do another training and you just email them because they're already on your list and all 10 of them register. Great. You don't have to pay that $200 again. So like, I remember there was a time we would send an email out and we get 1,000 people registered for a webinar. And it was like, well, it cost me $20,000 to acquire those people the first time, but now I just got to save $20,000 because I didn't have to pay for 1,000 leads again. And they're way more qualified this time around. So, and also if you're doing a good offer, you're making money off all those leads coming in too.
So what you're speaking to, which is like never really talked about because it's not sexy, is it's not just about building your list. It is about building the relationship you have with your list. And when you start understanding a couple of very key metrics in your business, the fear of ads or fear of all that type of stuff is just based out of ignorance. Like you're unaware of what a lead is worth to you in your business. You're unaware of what a customer is worth in your business or a customer over the lifetime of working with you is in your business. When you know those numbers, you're like, I'll do that math all day long. I'd pay $1 to make 5 all day long. I'd pay $20 to make $100 all day long, right? So one of the things that we did this year that I've been wanting to do for a long time and was putting it off, and I'm finally excited that we did, is so we use Kajabi. I'm a big fan of Kajabi. I've built our whole business off of there. Is they have a newsletter function, and every Monday now we send a newsletter to our list, and we have a 320,000 person email list today, which is pretty amazing. And every Monday we send out this newsletter.
You're on your way.
What's that?
It's small, but you're on your way.
I'm on my way. Yeah. I'm getting there. But every week we just share this newsletter, and this newsletter is just thoughts, tips, tactics, things that are on my mind, like what I want to teach this week. And I just write it. I don't AI it. I write it and I put it out there. 35% open rate every single week for this. And we've only been doing it for about 8 or 9 weeks at this point. But the point is I'm doing stuff to not just build a list, but build the relationship with that niche, that list, to nurture my audience. And when you start looking, what's that?
You're writing that yourself, not a copywriter.
I am writing it myself.
Yeah, love that.
By my own choice. And I communicate, I go, this is from my brain. Like this is coming from me to you. And I want that because I want people to open it and value. Just like we're doing this podcast ourselves. We didn't outsource the podcast, right? So the reason why to connect the dots, what Brandon is saying here is like, oh, I paid $20 for a lead. Okay. But that's a human being that what if every week they wait for your email, every week they watch or listen to that podcast, and they just go, man, this person's amazing. This is incredible. I'm learning so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, what is that person worth to you? Because the moment you put that right offer in front of them, they're like, of course I'm going to go work with you. Of course I'm going to sign up. And I think people lose sight of that. So you got to do two things. You got to be list building, but you've got to be relationship building. And that's always been really important to me. And that's the long-term game. So I have people, like when we put things out, like when I tell these stories, Brandon, like this is true. Like when I tell the stories of like, oh, I sold a bartending product. I have people, or I talk about Video Traffic Academy, these things I mentioned here. I have people every time I mention it, they say things like, that's when I signed up. That's when I started working with you. That was 2011. I've had students for 14 years. What? That's where the value is. That it's over time. So this will be my last thing, wherever you want to go from here, but this is the last thing to tie that all in. People today have got it all wrong. They're just trying to make as much money as quickly as they can. The name of the game is consistency, longevity over time. Someone who makes $1 million overnight sounds cool, but the person who's 500,000 a year every year at 50 to 60% profit for the next 10 years is a badass. And then if you add in a 10% growth year after year, you're a superhero. That's the real name of the game.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I know we talked about betas and we talked about a little bit of low offers. We talked about leads. We talked about a lot of really great things. And I know there's a lot more to talk about inside of this space. So we didn't even have a chance to talk about when to hire or like what launch strategies could be. Consistency. You talked about consistency. How do we make sure that after the beta, we have consistent sales coming in? But I know you guys have a series coming up called The Rise of the Digital CEO, which will start to talk about those things. So, if anyone wants to sign up for it, we do have a link for it. It's brandonlucero.com/James. But can you tell them a little bit about what's included in there and what they're going to get?
Yeah. Very simply, if you have not launched a beta yet, I'm definitely going to help you in that training. There's a piece of training that's going to really help you with that, to validate your offer. Okay. So you're going to get a lot from that. But let's say you have a validated offer. You're like, I know this is the right offer. This is what people buy. And your business isn't where you want it to be yet. Either you're working too much and don't have enough to show for it, or you are working a lot and making a lot, but you're like, I'd like to work less. Or it's just like, no matter what you do, something isn't working. Here, we take a very scientific approach. There is a reason why it is not working, and it ain't you. It's not because no one likes you. You're a loser. You're not cut out for this. There's a piece in your business that isn't working. It's just like if we were to bake a cake or an apple pie. If we left out an ingredient, it's not going to work. It's not going to taste good. Leave out the apples in an apple pie, you're in trouble, right? So the whole entire workshop is designed to be a mirror to your business, an audit to what you've built. And you will see it's very like transformational in nature, because there's a concept called blind spots. Business blind spots are the things you didn't even know you need to have in place in order to make the business run. So it's a very beautifully objective approach. It's like, if you don't have this and you didn't know you didn't need to have this, then that's why this piece isn't working. So we're able to very successfully teach our clients and students how to properly self-diagnose your current state of your business and then see what you need at each phase. So it's very fun. Like, I'm not just going to teach like, here's the one funnel wham bam widget thing that you need and this will solve all your problems. It's actually saying, let's take a look at my business to see what is it missing, what's not working, so that I have a clear plan on how to move forward. And it's a really, really fun experience. It's very transformational. It's very reflective. It can be very challenging to look at because you have to take a good, hard look at yourself, your decisions you've made, and your business, but really powerful for people that are there. That's the rise of the digital CEO.
I love that. And so if you want to register, it's completely free. Just go to brandonlucero.com/James. And I'd also pay attention to the podcast here, because we're going to be releasing episodes that go along with James's training as well as the series is going on. So again, go to brandonlucero.com/James, register for free, and tune into the podcast it's 3 days, but it's like a week-long thing. Is that correct?
It's a week-long thing. It's 3 parts, and it's like 2.5 to 3 hours each. Okay. And here's what I'm going to say. Yes, I sell a program after. It's called Business by Design. We open it once a year. But one of my commitments and where I stand and hold myself is this is a complete training. Okay. This isn't a sales pitch. This isn't 9 hours of me just talking about myself. This is an actual experience. It's an actual virtual event. And one of the biggest things our attendee, well, first of all, I'll tell you, our BBD students come back for it every year, because it's wherever you're at, the training meets you where you're at and where your business is at. And it will show you things that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing that. Why did I stop doing that? Wait, I need that, all that type of stuff. And we've had the number one piece of feedback that we get from it is saying, I got more value from this than the $997 programs I've been investing in. So I think this is the business school training that people didn't realize they need. And I'm bringing it. And it's going to be the best one yet. So I would say attend live, because there's something about being in the energy of it and doing it live versus like a replay in the background that you're not really paying attention to.
Yeah, I love it. So head over to brandonlucero.com/James. Make sure you guys go register now. And James, thank you so much for spending an hour with us, sharing your knowledge.
My pleasure.
And coming back on the podcast. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.